welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, I'm Cynthia Greer. I am the author of Spiritually Single in Sickness and Health, A Woman's Guide to Healing at a Soul Level, Twin Flames, Beyond the Veil of Illusion, and the sequel, Twin Flames, Healing the Shattered Heart When Union Isn't Possible. I am a spiritualist who works at the in-depth level of the soul. This means I get to the bottom of the issues that are holding you back on a spiritual level. This isn't always pleasant, yet it is the true path to spiritual awakening, the understanding of everything you go through during that process, as well as facing the shadow side of ourselves as everything surfaces from the subconscious into the conscious mind. In this video, I am talking about twin flame connections and soul sickness that can manifest into an actual physical illness that reflects back and forth between twin flames, whether they are in a physical union or not. And this is something that I have firsthand experience in, as I am a stage 3 cancer survivor who also was stricken with a secondary illness after the radiation treatments. And that illness left me with a very serious, life-threatening disease and disability, all combined into one. So it hasn't been an easy path. But through the years, I have come to the understanding of the triggers that weaken the immune system. And all of these issues begin to manifest and surface on a physical level. In my own twin flame connection and experience, we did not find out until we were in our later years. And by that time, both of us had succumbed to very serious illnesses that left us with disabilities that affected our mobility and our physical capacity as far as energetically being able to cope with negative people in our lives, as well as severe stress. Now, prior to my understanding of my own connection, I had a full understanding of twin flames because I had been raised in an environment where there was a wave of twin flames. I was taught about it early on, and I was exposed to many functional twin flame couples who came into union and rendered a great service to this planet. I was unaware at the time that I was one of those twin flames in that cluster, as we had met very young. But we had gone into separation due to the circumstances that often keep twin flames apart. Now, when we look at planetary circumstances, we have to be very realistic and very clear on the level of evolution that the soul is at. And in some cases, both twins have evolved to their highest level, or they are very close to that, and they are in their final embodiment on the earth plane in order to render a specific service as a couple, which means 100% communication and teamwork all of the way. And this can only happen if both are living a functional life together. But we must remember that this kind of evolution takes many lifetimes to master. And the reason that humanity is lagging behind, even though we are in the Aquarian age and we have come into this new millennium, that doesn't change the fact that humanity is lagging, though many are awakening. So what so many do not understand is the original divine plan for mankind that was indeed an equally yoked partnership when it came to twin flames. Now, some twin flames held on through various embodiments, and they mastered their evolution together. The proof of those twins can indeed be found in the Bible and other sacred texts of Holy Writ. Unfortunately, many who are seeking alternative paths in this new age discredit the Bible and they discredit Holy Writ. And in many ways, what this does is it blocks them to attaining the higher knowledge that they are craving regarding twin flames. And this is often why everybody wants what they want when they want it, without the understanding of why they can't possibly have it, because one or both are simply not at the evolutionary stage of handling their divine connection. Now, as I have stated before, twin flames do not have to be in the perfective state of being. They do not have to be at a high level of evolution to come in to a union. But they have to have that burning desire to be together on a physical level, because their love is so deep. They feel that love. There is no one else for them that they will weather any challenge that is put before them, or any person or circumstance that tries to stand in the way of that union. And this, if they have lagged behind in past lifetimes, is the key to moving forth in their evolution, is the acknowledgement of that love, even though one or both of them may be extremely afflicted on a physical level. They are willing to see each other through those afflictions. But of course, here is the clincher. Both of them must be willing to work on those afflictions and clear them, because in this way they are actually transmuting all of the human creation from the past and around them that they have created in this embodiment. Okay, so what about the illness? Okay, for myself, I have laid it out very clear in the text that I have written. I've been very honest with my readers about the afflictions that I have had to work through. And at the point of going into separation from my twin, I made some very bad decisions that caused me to backslide on a spiritual level. But fortunately, I caught it at a very early age, and I sought in-depth spiritual knowledge, which kept me on the path no matter how dark things got. At one point, I became a workaholic. My energy was so focused on the spiritual work I was doing, the welfare of those in my family who were having very deep issues with their health, that I continued to run myself into the ground without a lot of self-care. And so I basically defeated the purpose of what I knew in my heart, because I thought if a little bit is good, a whole lot more is going to be better. And that just wasn't the case. And in the last several years, of my business. I would wake up in the morning tired and I would go to bed tired. And eventually it snowballed into a cancer that I was unaware of because I could not get the proper diagnosis early on. And I went from doctor to doctor trying to find the answers. And ultimately, they came up with mononucleosis, which turned out to be an entire bust because I wasted a lot of time waiting to heal as the cancer was metastasizing. So years pass and I reconnect with my twin flame. And by this time, we are in our later years. My twin is almost to the point of complete immobility and lack of energy due to a very serious health condition. And I am fighting the secondary illness, which has greatly affected my mobility as well. But I fought it. I fought it because I knew what I was ultimately dealing with on a spiritual level. And I knew that God had originally intended for mankind to live long, productive, and affluent lives in their field, their missions, their careers, for the highest good of this planet. And I made up my mind that I was not going to leave until I completed what I had to do. So I really fought it, and I asked for guidance in what I needed to do to physically become stronger. And everything was laid out before me. My twin flame had taken a different path in life. And that was a path of concern about what everyone else around him thought. It was a concern about how he came off to other people. Now, he wasn't like that in the beginning of our relationship when we were in our youth and we were both total innocents. He was wide open. And I never saw that side of his personality until we went into separation. And even though I didn't know anything on an in-depth level about twin flames like I do now, I could sum it up as to why he had left me. And on a soul level, some of what he had was expressed in his adulthood, but it wasn't to his highest capacity. And he allowed others to make major decisions in his life. And he suppressed who he was. Now I want you to look at the mirror that is going on here. Both of us worked very hard, and we became successful. His success on a material level far surpassed mine. But both of us focused on our work. It was the most important thing in our lives, besides our families. And both of us have gone into denial about certain things that we were not fulfilled in within our lives. Now for me, that denial was not having a solid, loving relationship and filling that void on a spiritual level, not really mourning the loss of never meeting a soul partner, a divine partner, even if I wasn't in a twin flame connection, because at that time I didn't know I was. The point I'm making is I was in denial. I never mourned that loss. And when my twin and I reconnected, everything opened up, and he had never admitted his dysfunctional path that he had chosen and kept putting a Band-Aid on it, living with it, staying in it, thinking that the more success he gained and the more money he made would be the answer to everything. So we reconnect, we find out we were in the hospital in extremely serious conditions at the same time, the same week, and we were at opposite ends of the state, in state of the heart hospitals under serious medical care. And we were both told how serious it was and how we had to live the rest of our lives. And I began to channel to my twin about soul sickness. And this is something that triggered everything else in the subconscious within both of us that had been buried long ago. Now, my twin and I did not come into a physical union in this lifetime. what I learned through my illness and observing his and the path that he had chosen in order to deal with it was that the only recourse I had was to fully take the focus off of my twin and place it not on my illness, not on my physical body, but first on God. That was very humbling for me because I had always been a believer. But during that time, I realized that my connection with the divine would lapse because I would flip-flop. I would go back and forth in my faith. Because let's face it, had I not flipped-flopped, I would have had that innate knowing within myself when to cut things off on an outer level, let somebody else take over for me and do the work for that period of time while I retreated, took a break, and replenished my energies. But I didn't do that because I couldn't quiet my mind long enough. And I am a Gemini, a double Gemini, with a Pisces moon. So one of my major challenges has always been the overworking of my mind. And I had to really learn how to shut it off, dump everything that was in it, and completely decompress. And once I did that, my relationship with the Creator became much stronger. I was given more insight because I allowed myself that time of complete rest and rejuvenation. And when I released my twin and I released the illness on both sides, I released that fear of mortality. Because in my case, it's a given that either one of us may not have that much longer. So one of us at some point will get the news that the other has made their transition. And I had spent so much time grieving over the fact that I wouldn't be with my twin. And I stayed in that grieving process longer. Why was it? Because I really didn't trust, as much as I believed in God, as strong as that faith was. I found out it really wasn't because I wasn't anchored. I hadn't released. I hadn't gotten to the point that my twin flame connection is eternal. And it is irrelevant what choices twin flames make that keep them in separation through the centuries. Raising the vibratory level, the consciousness, attaining soul enlightenment, total connection to the Christ consciousness, connects you to the God source. When you are connected to the God source, you see the bigger picture. You get that glimpse into eternity. You know that this flesh that you have is temporary, but your soul lives on. And at some point, the two of you will arrive at that functional level. And whether it is cosmic, if one has been in the ascended state for many light years and one has lagged behind and had several more embodiments, is of no significance, because you are that soul. And eventually, you will rise into that state of perfection. I hope this video has helped you. I'd love to hear your comments. I wish you so much love and many blessings on your journey.